The U.S. Supreme Court's potential nullification of the Voting Rights Act. A deep dive. The Voting Rights Act, a cornerstone of civil rights, is under threat. The Supreme Court's recent actions suggest a potential nullification of Section 2, which safeguards against racial gerrymandering that dilutes black political power. This development raises concerns about the erosion of democratic principles and the potential for increased voter suppression. The background. The Voting Rights Act of 1965 was a landmark piece of legislation that aimed to eliminate racial discrimination in voting practices. Section 2, in particular, empowers the federal government to intervene and protect voters from racial gerrymandering, ensuring that minority groups have a fair chance to influence elections. However, a recent Supreme Court case, Louisiana versus Callais, challenges the validity of this section. A case. In Louisiana, a state with a significant black population, new congressional districting maps were drawn after the 2020 census. These maps initially included only one majority black district, despite the state's eligibility for 6 seats and a population that is approximately 1/3 black. This sparked a lawsuit, with federal courts ordering Louisiana to create maps that would provide black voters with a majority in a second district, reflecting their demographic share. However, a group of non-African American voters has now sued to overturn these maps, arguing that enforcing the Voting Rights Act violates their rights under the 14th and 15th Amendments. The court's stance. The Supreme Court appears inclined to side with the non-African American voters, suggesting a potential nullification of Section 2. This move would be a significant blow to the Voting Rights Act, which has been under constant scrutiny and gradual dismantling by the court under Chief Justice John Roberts. In 2013, the court struck down a significant portion of Section 5, which required jurisdictions with a history of racial discrimination to obtain federal preclearance for voting law changes. This decision led to a surge in new voting restrictions, widening the racial turnout gap between black and white voters. The court's logic in Shelby County v. Holder was that racial animus and inequality had diminished, making such preclearance unnecessary and a violation of state rights. The impact. If the court rules in favor of the non-African American voters, it will effectively end the Voting Rights Act, a widely recognized achievement of the civil rights movement. This decision would empower states to implement voting laws that could disproportionately affect minority groups, further marginalizing their political influence. A controversial interpretation. The court's potential ruling raises controversial questions. It challenges the long-standing interpretation that discriminatory impact, not intent, is sufficient to prove illegal racial discrimination. This shift could allow for the justification of racial gerrymandering as a partisan strategy, undermining the very purpose of the Voting Rights Act. The way forward. The Supreme Court's decision, expected in June, could significantly impact the 2026 midterm elections. If the court sides with the non-African American voters, it may result in 19 additional House seats for the Republicans, further solidifying their political power. This outcome highlights the potential for the court to shape the political landscape, raising concerns about the protection of minority rights and the integrity of the democratic process. Conclusion. The Supreme Court's potential nullification of the Voting Rights Act is a critical moment in American democracy. It underscores the ongoing struggle for racial equality and the need for continued advocacy to safeguard the rights of all citizens. As the court's decision looms, the nation awaits a verdict that could have far-reaching consequences for the future of voting rights in the United States.